Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So this is the thing, right? I'm starting to get, I'm really starting to worry about Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, I'm not sure what's going on with him, but he is really out here pushing the narrative that boxing is corrupt, that the wrong man won the fight between him and Kambosos, and saying the fight was fixed. This past weekend, of course, there are a lot of people who want to talk to him, especially when you see, lightweights fighting. Anyone in particular from 130 to 140. They want to have conversation with any of the elite fighters. But the thing that got my attention with Teofimo Lopez, right, is Teofimo Lopez is a great fighter. But he lost his right to complain because of the way he fought in that Kambosos fight. He lost his right to complain. He didn't fight the right fight. He went out there looking to knock him out. He almost got the job done. But he lost the fight, okay? There's no way in the world he could have won that fight. He had a moment to seal the deal, but he missed his opportunity. But what scares me is he continues to say a lot of nefarious things, and also saying that there are a lot of forces that were at play that resulted in the zone was behind that, and he feels that they were setting him up to lose to Kambosos so that Kambosos to go fight Haney so Haney could win the Undisputed Lightweight Championship. Now, none of that makes sense, but in his mind it does. Because Haney wasn't even a front runner for that fight. Only reason why Haney is in that fight is because Lomachenko decided to stay at home and defend his country. In addition to that, Kambosos didn't have to fight Haney. He chose him. Now, of course, for the undisputed distinction, so why wouldn't he fight Haney? But nobody forced him to fight Haney. Haney wasn't a mandatory. Haney wasn't in any position to where Kambosos had to fight him. It's just one of those things that makes sense. Kambosos, and I think all the people around him, and even around Haney, they realize just how difficult it is to get in position to fight for an undisputed distinction. Case in point, Anthony Joshua and Wilder. Hey man, the ship sailed. Now you're looking at Anthony Joshua, who should win the rematch. He is teaming up with Robert Garcia, about to fight Usyk. He should clip Usyk, okay? I'm going to say I think AJ's going to win. But then after that, this is really the last opportunity for AJ to get a shot at Undisputed. There can't be any more BS when it comes to these boxers and fighting. So hopefully AJ and Fury will get it on. But after they get it on, if Fury wins, they'll have a rematch. If Fury wins again, he retires. And then all of those belts, he releases them. And then now they all go back. And you know how long it's going to take for these guys to fight to try to get back to an undisputed distinction in the heavyweight division? So you can understand why, when it comes to these lightweights, Kambosos and Haney, the cooler heads around them said, you know what, let's make the fight. And I just did a video on how they did Haney. They did him dirty. But with Teofimo, for him to say it was all set up for Haney, that's not accurate. That's why I just gave you guys the rundown of how it all developed. Haney wasn't the number one choice. But when you look at now, it is what it is. But it's not because Eddie Hearn orchestrated all that. So my thing is, I'm worried about Lopez. Like you can't, if you want to put yourself in a victim stance, I can understand if there's some concrete evidence, if you can prove it. You know what I'm saying? It has to be something that you can put your teeth into, but there's nothing there. He fought the wrong fight, but he keeps maintaining he was deliberately robbed, and he hasn't gotten past his loss. And when he was talking to a lot of the reporters, he was saying that it was a scheme that was orchestrated by DAZN to pave an easier path for Devin Haney, suggesting that Kambosos is an easier fight for Haney than he is. And I don't know about that. I don't know if Kambosos is an easier fight. Because Kambosos showed that he has dog in him and he'll fight it out. And again, that's why I come to Australian Manny Pacquiao. Not an easy. I don't think Teofimo is an easy fight for Haney, and I don't think Kambosos is an easy fight. They're both tough fights, which Haney has all the skills in the world to win those fights. I just think it's going to be close. And when you're in a close fight like that in someone else's hometown, I don't care where the judges come from, it could become interesting. So if Teofimo is fighting Devin Haney, I'd have to give Devin Haney the edge in that fight. I'd have to give him the edge because Devin Haney can box. He can avoid those big power shots. The only way Devin Haney would be in tough with Teofimo, just like with anyone else, is if Devin Haney chooses to stand there and prove that he's a dog and he can hit hard and he can take shots, which would be stupid for Devin Haney to do. I don't think he's going to do that unless he knows the person is starting to tire down, they're starting to weaken, and I can get in there and get my shots off. And they've taken some of that steam off of their shots, so they shouldn't have enough to really get me out of there. Take a look at what Tank Davis did this past weekend. It looked like he was fighting scared, which we know he's not scared, but he had a lot of respect for the power of Rolly. But he waited until he felt, okay, this man is strong. He's still going to be strong all the way through the end of the fight, but he doesn't have the one-shot power now. He still can hurt me, but Tank knew early in that fight that Rolly could get him out of there. And he timed everything just right, and then he caught Rolly getting reckless, getting careless, and got Rolly out of there. So when you talk about Devin Haney and this guy Lopez, as far as Teofimo Lopez being a harder fight, I'm not sure about that. But Lopez really feels that the fight with Kambosos is made for Haney. He says the whole, now I'm going to read his words now, okay? He says the whole, S word was a scheme, bro. DAZN, I was on the DAZN platform. They gave it to Kambosos because they know what I was going to do with it. They knew what I was going to do. I was going to drop the belts. Then it's a longer process for Devin to become undisputed. It's all a game, man. They pay that that S word. And then, so let's just look at that. Let's say he was going to drop the belts. If he would have outboxed Kambosos, okay? If he would have outboxed him, he would have won the fight. He did not box him. He did not box him. So this is foolishness in his head, man. Okay, so then it goes on, and he's talking about if it would be hard for him to win a decision in Australia, and Lopez is saying, no, everything's already made. I had to see that for myself. They already knew who won before they even F-word announced it. See the tapes? F both of them. I'm going to hazard a guess that this stance won't further endear Lopez to boxing fans. So I'm going to hazard a guess that this stance won't further endear Lopez to boxing fans of the world over. No, it's not going to endear boxing fans to Lopez. Lopez won't be endeared by anybody. No one's going to endear him. Lopez is crazy, man. He really feels that he won that fight. But if you look at what he's created in his mind, now we know there's corruption in boxing. We do. I believe that, all these promoters, I did a video on this, man. They pay the judges. They pay a lot of people. And these guys are paying your salary. It could be almost a conflict of interest. If someone's paying you, now you got to come and judge the fight. What you going to do, man? You got to have this person's best interest in mind if you want to keep getting jobs. But then again, you got to assume there's going to be some integrity in that process and in the business. But we know how it is. BS happens. But in this case, Teofimo, he wasn't robbed, man. And those last 4 rounds, those last 3 rounds, those championship rounds, he just wasn't doing enough. And I don't think he could have outworked Kambosos because Kambosos was in better shape. And we know that Teofimo had the issue with his lungs, ups and downs with his wife. Now it's coming out, man was out there smoking. Those are just, who is he, Ricardo Mayorga? You just can't have those kind of bad habits. And the outside distractions, we all go through stuff. I don't care if you're single, married, personal lives, man, there's always some challenges. Okay? But you got to find a way to win. And he got in there with the fight with Kambosos, and he fought the wrong fight. Do I think Kambosos is a better fighter than Teofimo? I don't think so. I think Teofimo's a better fighter. But it's like I always say, the best fighter doesn't necessarily win. It's the fighter who boxes the best, who fights the best on that night. That's who wins the fight. Okay? And that's just, those are facts, people. It's not the best, it's not the fastest runner who wins the race. It's the one who runs the fastest. Okay? It's not the best swimmer. It's the one who swims the best diver, the best chef. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the person who does things the best in that particular instance. And when it comes to Teofimo Lopez and Kambosos, Kambosos did everything better. Now, if they were to rematch, you'd have to say that maybe Teofimo would make the adjustments and come back in stronger and possibly get the win. But I'm going to be honest with you though. And this is just, I think those of you, even if you haven't, you don't even have to have sparred before or boxed, okay? You could have wrestled, you could have ran track, played baseball, basketball, any other sport. I think you would agree, right? When you're in there competing with someone who's in better condition than you, someone who can run, who can just work nonstop from the start of the fight, the match, the race, the game, to the end. And you know you're not in that kind of shape. Doesn't matter how great you are. You know, we hear the term front runners. It's not for the swift, it's for those that can endure. And those that can endure, more times than not, are the ones that come out victorious. So when it comes to Teofimo, if he doesn't get his wind up, and hopefully he's, worked through whatever issues he had with his heart or lungs or whatever it was, he will always struggle with guys who can get past those first 4 to 6 rounds with him and pick it up from round 6 to round 12. He will always struggle. Almost any fighter out there will struggle. It's not for the swift. Boxing is not for the swift. It's for those that can endure. The guy in better shape, a lot of times you see those guys who are in better shape end up winning the fight. The other guy who was just pouring it on thick, looks like the guy was going to get him out of there. Then he gets fatigued, and the other guy picks up the pace and stops him. That's boxing. That's what makes it so interesting. You can't look at what's going on in the first 4 rounds and say, oh, this is going to dictate the rest of the fight. Once I say between round 6 and 8, that's when you can start really getting an idea. Unless somebody's just getting battered, you know what I mean? But once they start slowing down, the other person has that stamina, and they have that heart and that mentality to find a way to win. That's when they go press him and get him out of there. So with Teofimo, I just think he just really needs to get some of those people out of his circle. I ain't saying he has to disassociate himself, but distance himself and get with a person like Eddie Hearn who's going to just tell you straight up. He doesn't want to hear him, but he needs to hear it. Like, man, you lost. You're being delusional. And it's sad to see because taking a loss is hard. It is. But I remember going through some stuff, had nothing to do with boxing, nothing to do with sports. But I remember going through something where I knew my effort was great. But I had to, and I was looking at my reward, right? But I had to look at somebody else I was competing with. And it wasn't that the person was better than me. It wasn't that they were smarter than me. It wasn't that they were cooler than me. It wasn't that they had a better attitude. Nothing. But they were doing a little bit more in certain areas. And I had somebody break that down to me. And they told me, they're like, you didn't earn it. Doesn't mean you're not great. Doesn't mean you're not good at what you're doing. But when you look at it on paper, and they made me say, write it out. Everything that you did, everything you're doing, look at what this person's doing. And when I looked at it on paper, and they said, you know what? Yep, you're more likable, you're more this, you're more that, but we don't have time. We can't take that in consideration. We go by what's on paper. And I said, man, I get it. And after that, I made sure my effort was greater, and they couldn't tell me anything. And I carried that into everything that I did. With Teofimo, he needs to take a look at that. Look at the punches. Punches landed. Look at the statistics, man. On paper. Forget that you're the better fighter. I think people agree you're the better fighter. Forget that you're the harder puncher. Forget that you're probably more marketable. It's just forget all that. Lay it all out on the table as far as your performance in that ring that night and compare with Kambosos' performance. And then I think he'll see. Still don't want to accept it, but you'll see, okay, I've lost my right to complain. Now come back, make the adjustments, and then you're back in business. But as long as he's still stuck there, man, without somebody to kind of guide him, mentor him the right way, that dude's lost, man. And I like him. I really do. But it is what it is, man. But anyway, I'm going to do another video because, the WBO just ordered Charlo to face Tszyu, Costa Tszyu Jr., or Tim Tszyu. So I'm going to do a video on that. But like and subscribe, leave your comments below. I just think Teofimo just needs to, take a deep breath and, blow it out and say, you know what, I lost. And a lot of people need to do that. You ever find yourself in a situation where you're backpedaling or you're afraid to just come full circle and tell the truth on something? And then finally you say, you know what, I effed up. Or, you know what, I did it. And then it's like that sigh of relief, like, I got it out there. I don't have to run around here holding on to this crap anymore. It's in the universe. It is what it is. And then you can go about your day and you function better. But when you keep holding on to crap like that and not being real with yourself, man, it bogs you down. So until he does that, man, I'd have to question his forthcoming performances. I like him. I like the fact that he's sticking close with his dad. I don't care if we agree with his dad or not. I'm all about, especially the son and father. I have 4 sons, so that stuff, it touches me. So, I ain't trying to get all, corny on y'all, but I love to see that because I'm that way with my sons. I'm not as animated as his dad, but stick with your dad, man. You guys have a good thing going, but, the pops just needs to be a bit more real with his son and give more pointed guidance, not just go out there and F him up. Like, that's not telling him nothing because he's hearing you. Like in that fight, Teofimo was hearing his dad. But you can see on his face, it was more like easier said than done. And they didn't make the right adjustments. But anyway, hope you liked the video, man. Like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. It means a lot to me. We're going to keep the content coming. Y'all keep cool. I'm about to go make something for these boys to eat. More videos that come today. I'm trying to do like 4 more. And then I got to go to basketball practice with the kids. Y'all stay safe. Shout out to the veterans. And as always, I'm in the breed.